Let's learn how to set up for and then use appointment scheduling in AccuTrack or AccuSQL. Now, versus a walk-in where a student would enter an ID and typically pick a reason why they're coming in the center to get help immediately, an appointment means the student would like to get help, but they're looking for something, say, next week. They're looking for a tutor that assists with the particular course or activity that they want help with, and then they want to look at the tutor's schedule to see when that tutor or staff member is available. Okay, so for appointment scheduling, I'm going to be walking through a setup here, and some of the things I'm going to need to set up are having a current semester, having students, of course, having categories and activities. Now we call activities, they're activities or courses. We need a tutor or staff member that helps with that particular activity, and then the staff member or tutor needs a schedule to indicate when they're working. We'll go through the appointment configuration rules and restrictions. I'll show you where to set up the mail server, your email templates if you choose to use them. Text messaging is another option if you'd like to use that. And then I'm going to talk briefly about the AccuTask service. What that does is run the behind-the-scene jobs, one of which is sending out appointment reminders, no-show reminders, etc. through the software. Okay, so I'll log in here as an administrator. Okay, and then I'm going to click System. The first thing I talked about is a current semester. Now the way AccuTrack works, or AccuSQL, is it knows what today is. So when it opens, it looks for today's date, and then it will load any selected activities or courses that fall in the range of that current date. So what I've done here is I've got a semester right here that goes through January 1st through May 31st, and all of my activities are selected. So that means they'll all be active. So I'm good there. Okay, and then I have a list of students, of course. These are just my fake students in my tutoring sample database. Okay, next let's talk about categories and activities. So I'm going to click Sign In Setup, Categories and Activities. And for my example, what I'm going to do is create a new category called Health Services, and then I'll create some activities under that, such as health screening, immunizations, etc. Then what I'm going to do is create a new staff member. I'm going to assign those activities to my staff member, and then I'm going to create a schedule for that staff member. Okay? So here I am, first of all, in categories and activities, and think of it as what would you like the student to make an appointment for? What activity? Okay, so I said I'd call this Health Services, and I'm just clicking Add over on the category side and saving. Okay, now Health Services is selected. I'm now going to add the particular activities that appear underneath that category. And you do have to have a category and then activities underneath. So I'm going to create one here called Health Screening. I'm just clicking Add, and then I'm pasting in my activity field. I don't necessarily need an activity ID. And I'll add again. So now under Health Services, I have Health Screening, Immunizations, and Nutrition Workshop. Okay? Now that that's done, I'm going to click back on my users, and then I'm going to pick tutors. Now your terminology may differ. You can call this whatever you'd like, but I'll call it tutors is fine. And now I'm going to click Add right here, enter a unique ID, and enter my tutor, staff member. And I would need an email for him if I plan to send email confirmations. And now I'll click Save. And when I do so, it pops open a screen where I assign the activities to my tutor. So what I'll do is look for, just click in the grid and then click Health Services. And here they are. So I'll click the first one, hold the Shift key, and click the last one, and then the down arrow, and click OK. So now I have this Roger Smith as a staff member with 3 health services that he's available to help students with. I save that, and now I have the activity assignments for the tutor. Okay, next, we have a few different ways of doing this, but I can click Tutor Schedule here. Now the way this works is it has something called regular schedule. Okay, regular schedule, think of it as now till the end of the semester. So that means Roger is going to work the same hours every day of every week through the end of the term. That may be the way you do it. If that's the case, all I have to do here is just click in the grid and drag the schedule for Roger. Now also notice down below here, as I move, it shows me where I'm selected, so that'll make it easier to know where you are. So here I am at 8 o'clock on Monday. I'm going to click that and hold the mouse, and then drag the schedule for Roger. Okay, so now I'm saying Monday through Friday, Roger, his regular now till the end of the term schedule is from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Okay. Now if you'd like to add a custom schedule, you can do so by clicking Add here, and think of that as a schedule that may be week to week or a given period of time where Roger works hours different than what your regular schedule says. You don't have to have a custom schedule, but I'll go ahead and click Add, and let's just say from February, let's say March, from March 2nd through March 5th, I'm going to click down here on off time. Okay, and then I'll click in my schedule, and I'm going to do the whole grid. Let's say that he's on vacation. Okay, I'm now going to save. Okay, sorry, I have to change that to March. Okay, so now let's look back. Here's Roger's schedule from now till the end of the semester. However, from March 2nd through the 5th, it's off time, so he's not working that week at all because he's on vacation. Okay, so that's how you can create a custom schedule there. Now, the other thing I could do is let's continue on with this. Let's say add another one, and I'm then going to say from March 9th through March 10th, Roger is only going to be available, now I'll do health services here, for immunizations. And I'll make that for the entire day as well. Okay, so now let's look at that again. I have regular schedule for Roger, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. From 3:2 until 3:5, he's on vacation, so that's off time. And then from 3:9 through 3:10, I can see and look at my grid, this time is reserved exclusively for immunizations. Okay, so that's how you can create a custom schedule or just a regular schedule. Okay. The other thing I can do here is my classic scheduler. Now let's look at that for a second. I'll just get rid of this to show you. Okay, now this is always the default semester schedule that you're creating here. But let's say, and I've deleted the ones that I did back on the other grid, but let's say Roger works from 8 until 1. So I click 8 a.m. and then I'm going to go down to 1, but I'm going to hold my Shift key here and drag my days in, okay? So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., and let's say he goes to lunch, and then he comes back at 2, and he works until 4, but he does that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, so there's how you can drag and drop the regular schedule using what we call the classic scheduler. Okay, now I go back to my other schedule, and you can see it will reflect the change for Roger's regular schedule. Okay, now my customs are still as they were. Okay, so now I have a schedule for Roger, and I have the activities assigned to him. So the next thing I would need to set up for appointment scheduling is to configure the rules and restrictions for appointments. Okay, to do that, I'm going to click on Set Appointments, and then I'm going to click the Setup tab down here on the bottom right. Okay, and it opens to my appointment options. Now, most of these are fairly self-explanatory, but we can run through them. These are the options for appointment scheduling. How far in advance can you make an appointment? I guess starting here, only allow appointments, so I could have it where students don't walk into my center at all. It's all appointment-based if I check that box. Okay, do not allow setting appointments on the same day or previous day, so you can have rules where they can't make an appointment right at the last minute. Same with cancellation, so you don't want them to cancel the same day that they make the appointment, for example. So you could click the box and do same. Okay. All right, now appointment properties. Default appointment type is exclusive one-on-one. That means one student, one staff member. Below that it says allow changing type. So if you want to allow only group appointments, for example, you would uncheck that box. If you don't want anybody to change from a group appointment, you can uncheck that box. And I could say default is one-on-one and don't allow changing. That means my appointments would always be one student, one staff member. Okay, now in a group appointment, Tutor can assist with different activities. What that means is if a student makes an appointment, a group appointment for a particular activity, if I uncheck this box, that means students can only make appointments for the same activity that was made for the first student. Okay, so in other words, somebody makes an appointment for immunizations using this box, having it unchecked, I should say. That means appointments for that block can only be made for immunization. If you want them to assist with other things, you would check this box. Okay, if we do group appointments, what are the max number of students that can be in it? Okay, now these apply to Web Gateway is a browser-based plugin for AccuTrack or AccuSQL that allows students to make appointments online. So you can apply these rules to only Web Gateway, to everyone except us, administrator, or to everyone across the board. Okay. Now, what is the minimum appointment duration, the maximum? Start time increments, so do you want them to be every 30 minutes, every 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes? And then how many appointment hours can a tutor take per week if you'd like. If you leave it at 0, it's unlimited. Now we're going to talk a little bit about these no-show settings. Okay, so let's say that a student makes an appointment for 9 a.m. for immunization. Using these rules, the student can be as early as 8:40, or as late as 9:20, and it will count as an appointment show. Okay, if the student comes in 21 minutes early or 21 minutes late, that student would be marked as a no-show. Okay, so they either show within the window or they don't show. Okay, and then I can say further, the student has to stay X number of minutes in that appointment for it to count. Now I'll talk about what a no-show, what we do with those in a moment. Okay, student must select appointments activity to count as an appointment entry. That would be related to the one below it where it says bypass activity and tutor selection. Okay, so let's say I uncheck this and I check this. That means the student would have to pick the same activity that they made an appointment for in order for it to count as an appointment sign-in. Okay, if I don't do that and I check this bypass activity and tutor selection, that means that when the student makes the appointment for immunization, when they come in within my appointment window here, then it will merely have a little box that says Joe student is signing in for his appointment with whatever staff member. Okay, so they'll know they're signing in for an appointment, but they don't have to pick anything. Okay, I can email my staff, my tutors, when the student comes in for the appointment, so maybe they could go up front and get them. Create a room if I'd like to, so you can assign administrators when they make appointments can assign rooms. Add a short note, so if you'd like the student to enter some information after they make the appointment, they can do so. And then we have a quick scheduler and an appointment wizard. Okay, quick scheduler is, as it says, it's a lot easier for students to use. Appointment wizard is a little more complicated but contains more options. Okay, so I'll save this. And now I'm going to look at my email confirmation. So I'm just going to run down my list for my appointment setup. Okay, so what this is are the various emails that can go out for students and tutors or staff members when an appointment is scheduled. We call these email confirmations. So when a new appointment is made, here's the email the student will get. When it's made, here's the email that the tutor will get. Okay. If it's canceled, here's the email the student would get and tutor would get. Rescheduled, same. So you can enter your email, your custom email for each of those right here in the window. Now, further, I can send them as regular text if you have some restriction on your mail server that it will reject HTML. If I send an HTML format, it will put the appointment information in a nice table view in the email so it looks a little better. Okay. How far in advance do you want to show appointments? So it can say, here are your appointments for the following 3 weeks, or don't include that if you don't want to. Okay, so I'll save that. Now this printout, you know, to save paper, you don't have to even ask them if they want to print a confirmation slip. Now further here, I can email to students and tutors, but if I'd like, I can also put it on their Outlook calendar. Okay, so I have that option as well. Okay, email reminders. Now, again, this uses our behind-the-scenes task runner, which I'll mention in a second, but this would mean that you want to send an email to the student indicating, you know, a reminder saying, hey, don't forget, you have an upcoming appointment with so-and-so, and that will be put right in the email. But how far in advance do you want to send that? Okay. Send appointment reminder via text messaging. So I can send a text to the student instead of an email if I'd like. Okay. Now, the same thing with no-shows. Excuse me. Here's my no-show email. So you don't show up, here's the email you get. You have a reminder, here's the email you get. Okay, now restrictions. This first one, this may be a little outdated, but some still use it. You can actually have the student contact you to request an appointment, and then you can go use the tutoring request screen in AccuTrack or AccuSQL to honor or not honor that student request. Okay, so if you want to use that, you can. It's just another layer of how you can control who gets appointments and when. Okay, only allow registered students to schedule appointments. So using registration, that's where students would only see the courses they're registered for this semester. You could have it where a student can't make an appointment for anything other than their registered courses. Now, obviously, in my case, they're not going to be registered for health services, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. Okay, and then here's my no-show rules. Now, remember, I said you could be 20 minutes early or 20 minutes late. What happens if the student is too early or too late? Well, that counts as a no-show for them. Okay, so we keep track of those, and if the no-show limit exceeds 6 in this case, then I'm going to prevent the student from making another appointment until I void those no-shows. Okay, same thing with cancellation. So a student can cancel an appointment, but if they cancel more than 6 times or on the 6th time, then it's going to freeze and they won't be able to make any more appointments until I void the cancellations. Okay, and these are self-explanatory. How many appointments can they make per day? How many appointments can they make per week? Or uncheck them and you don't care. Okay, so I've got all that set up. Now what I'm going to do, I guess I should look at my mail server, excuse me. So communications setup. Here's where you enter your college, typically your college mail server. Now you can use a Gmail server if you'd like, but if you want to send emails to students and tutors, you need to have this set up. Also, you can test it to make sure it's happy. It'll send out a test message to whatever sender email address you have here. But you'd want to configure that if you want to use the email features. If you want to use text messaging, we use Skype or a Nexmo service. Either one of those, you go out to the site and register with Skype or Nexmo. It'll give you the information you need. Now, Skype, it's self-contained, nothing to add. Nexmo, it will give you this key, secret, from, etc. And then you can now send text messages. You have to check the box, send text messages from this computer. Okay. Now, to use text messaging, obviously, we need to have cell phone numbers entered for both our tutors and students. Okay. Now, back here in my setup, appointment setup, real quickly, it says send appointment reminder emails, send appointment reminder via text messaging. So if that box is checked, it will send a text message. If it's unchecked, then I can just turn that off and it'll only do email. So now let's return to the sign-in screen here, and then I'm going to click the appointments button. Now I can make that button, I guess I should show you that too, but I can make that button available on my main screen, sign in, setup, and right here, show these buttons. So I'm saying show my appointment button. And aside from the student pad, this is really the only way a student would make an appointment.
through AccuTrack or AccuSQL would be to click that Appointments button from the main screen. So I'll return to my sign-in, click Appointments, and enter an ID. Okay, and now I'm looking at, now I had course tutoring was some other information I had in there, but here's my health services, that's the new one that I just entered, and health screening, immunizations, nutrition workshop. So there's the 3 activities that I added under health services, and there's Roger Smith. Now why am I not seeing anything here for February 12th? Well, do not allow scheduling appointments X number of hours in advance. So I said, well, you can't make one on the same day. But if we go to Friday, now it's showing Roger's schedule. And as you recall, I had him working from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock, then going to lunch and coming back from 2 to 3, or excuse me, 4 on Friday. Now let's go look, and I can click the drop down here. Let's go look at Monday. Okay, how about Thursday? See, so I didn't remember I had Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He came back from 2 to 4 or 5, whatever it was. But on Tuesday and Thursday, he did not come back. It was only 8 to 12. So this is the schedule that I set up for Roger. Okay, so now I'm going to click a block of time, and it's going to pop open a box. Here's my note. So I enabled notes. Here's my rules about the increments, minimum, maximum. I said min 30, max 90, 5-minute increments. I can adjust any of that, but I'll say it's a 30-minute appointment, let's say. I schedule that, and now that block of time has gone away, appointment recorded, email goes out to student and tutor with the email confirmation for the appointment. Now you'll also notice that this block of time went away. The reason is I said exclusive one-on-one appointments only, one student, one tutor, so that block is now gone. If I had it set up for group appointments, that block would remain until the maximum number of students in that group appointment was reached, and then the block would go away. Okay, so that's the quick scheduler. Now I'm going to go back in as an administrator here to set appointments setup, and I'm going to click Use Appointment Wizard instead of Quick Scheduler. So I save that, and now let's go make another appointment. So I'll enter a different student here. And I guess I didn't mention, if you want to cancel an already scheduled appointment as the student, you can click View Cancel. But remember, if you cancel, then that's going to count against you for what is your maximum number of cancellations. Now, if an administrator cancels an appointment for a student, that would not count against the student. Okay, so now Michelle D, in this case, is coming in for a nutrition workshop. Now, what I'm doing here is same kind of thing, a little different interface. Category, various activities, shows the tutors, and if I had more than one tutor that was available to help with nutrition workshop, multiple tutors would show up here. I could view them all or just view one. And let's say I want an appointment on a Tuesday. I'm not exactly sure what Tuesday, but I can pick the day here. And it shows me, now I had a restriction that says how far in advance can a student make appointments, so I'm seeing up to whatever that date was. I think I said 3 weeks in advance. But now what I can do is, let's say on February 17th, I'd like an appointment with Roger at 11. What I've done is double-clicked on that block, and it'll automatically put 11 and 30 minutes there, and then I can just move it over. Now if I want to increase that, I can manually change that. But now I'll click Set, Recording Appointment. Here's my note. And I'll click OK. See, it says Emailing to enabled recipients, appointment recorded successfully. And would I like to schedule another? I'll say no. Okay, so now I've made an appointment as a student using Quick Scheduler and the Appointment Wizard. Now what I'm going to do here real briefly is open Web Gateway. Now remember, Web Gateway is the plugin for web-based appointment scheduling. And I've got a link here from our intranet to Web Gateway right here. So this would enable the student to make the appointment with the browser and not have to go all the way down to the center in order to click on the Appointments button in AccuTrack to accomplish the same thing. So I'll sign in here with the student ID and a password, and you can manually assign the passwords to the students. You can import the passwords, or you can automatically set the passwords for the students to the same as their ID or their lowercase last name. That's all in AccuTrack. But I'll click OK here, and then it pops open a screen, and I want to click an appointment, so I'll click that Appointments button there. Now I can view cancel existing ones. I don't have any because Mike Smithfield doesn't have any appointments, and it says I don't have any. So let's schedule a new one. Okay, remember I picked category and activity. It's the same kind of thing here in the browser. Health services. I want health screening, let's say. I click next. Roger Smith, he's my only one that helps with that, but if I had more, they would be listed here. And then just like the other, I'll click a block of time. So on Monday, February 16th, let's say at 11, I would like to have that appointment with Roger. That will pop open a screen, and here's my 30-minute scheduling. I can do maximum up to 90 minutes, so it keeps the same rules intact that we had before. Okay, and one-on-one group. See how I can't click group? You can't see, but I'm trying and I cannot because I said exclusive one-on-one appointments only. Okay, I click OK. It records the appointment, and it takes the entire block, 90 minutes in this case, away. So Roger has his appointment, or I should say Mike has his appointment scheduled with Roger now. So that's using Web Gateway. Now, if I go back to AccuTrack here and log in as an admin, I'm going to click View Appointments and then View Cancel, for example. So now here's all the appointments I just made. The one through Quick Scheduler, the one through Appointment Wizard, and the one through Web Gateway are all showing up here, and all with Roger Smith. Okay, now here's an admin. If I wanted to, I could cancel by admin. It wouldn't count against the student. If I canceled by tutor, it wouldn't count against the student. But I could do cancel by student if the student called, for example, and then that would be one of the cancellations. Okay? Now, while we're at it, how do we void cancellations or no-shows? Right here, I'm going to do View Cancellations. Okay, now I don't know if I have any data here or not. Let's see. Oh yeah, I do. So here's all the people that have canceled appointments. Okay, if I want to reset the clock, for example, what I can do is just pick one or more people, or a whole slew of them if I'd like, and then delete. Now when I click delete, are you sure you want to delete the selected appointment record? That will be like the appointment schedule never happened. That's what a void cancellation does. Okay, so the clock's reset for the cancellations for the student, and I'm done. Now, if I wanted to, I could do select all. If I wanted to clear the entire board, I could void every cancellation in my system. Okay, but I'll leave that alone. Same thing with no-shows. Here's the people that didn't show up, and then I can void them. So if I wanted to void every no-show in my system, I could do that and click void, or I could convert no-shows into cancellations. Okay, and again, canceled by who? Okay, so that's how you get rid of no-shows and cancellations and reset the clock, if you will. Now, these are all different appointment viewers, and you can run through these to see which one you like the best. There's another thing here in Set Appointments, and here's where an admin can make an appointment, by the way, using the wizard, setting it by picking the activity first, picking the student first, using Quick Scheduler. So there's various options, various ways that you can make an appointment for a student as an admin if they don't make the appointment themselves. But let's go look at Appointment Central here briefly. Now what I can do is pick a particular tutor. I don't have to. If I don't, it'll show all tutors. But let's do Smith. I'll select Smith and then click Go. Okay, now this shows me any appointments. Now that's this week for Smith, but I did them later. So here's Roger Smith. Now these are the appointments I just made. If I click on that, I can do things such as look at the details, cancel that appointment right here through Appointment Central. Think of Appointment Central, you can do everything with appointments in one screen. Okay, cancel it. I can move the appointment from where it is to a different date and or time, change the type. So if it's an individual, I can make it a group and vice versa. Repeat. So if I repeat, the student wants the same appointment next week, I can copy it and then paste it. Okay, expand or shrink time, schedule off time for a tutor. So I can do all of this directly in Appointments Central. Okay, if I want to make a new appointment, I can do so. Now, it won't let you if it's something in the past. Like, for example, here when I click, I don't have anything except exit. Okay, but now let's move a little further ahead. Let's look at, over here, for example. So I'm going to click that green box, Schedule Appointment. So I'm going to click that box, and now it pops open an appointment. I pick the activity. I add students. Now it says select up to 4 students, so it's letting me do a group appointment because I'm an administrator. Now I set appointment. It records it. It sends emails. It does, well, there's my note, all the normal things that a student would get. Now here's my room. Remember I said an administrator is allowed to pick a room. So if you want to add that, you can. Okay, now that's done. And there's my appointment. So I go look at my details. And there it is, Nutrition Workshop 2 to 2:30, Roger Smith. Now let's say, for example, I want to move this to a different date. Okay, I'll click here, and I'm going to do Move Appointment. Information of this appointment is going to be copied to complete operation, select target tutor, blah, blah, blah. Now I only have Roger here, but I could switch that to a different tutor. But let's just go over here at 3 o'clock and paste appointment. Okay, and I can just leave it just like it is. Add another note if I'd like to. Add the room if I'd like to. And it keeps the room assignment. And there you go. So I've just moved the appointment from one place to another. So I would encourage you to go through this Appointment Central if you have lots of things to do with appointments all at once. It's a nice interface for controlling that all in one screen. And of course, as with anything we do in AccuTrack, I have plenty of reports on appointments in this case. So this is looking all of my appointments this semester, staff members. So I have Cindy, Morgan, and then here's the ones that I just did for Roger Smith, my new health services staff member. And you can run through any of these various reports to see which ones you like the best.